Hi, good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me. My name is Amit, and today I will be presenting the interdisciplinary creative project that we're working for the Conservation of Natural Resources class. So this is my project, and as you can see, this is the introduction slide. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much for taking the time to review my presentation. So the first thing that we were given multiple prompts. The first thing that I want to talk about is the prompt that I have chosen, which said something about make a video about a conservation topic that you're passionate about and how that kind of relates with what you've learned so far in this semester. So I have picked the topic of deforestation, which is something that I'm really passionate about. Reminds us that we need to be mindful of all the resources. Our resources are not infinite. And as you can see from the picture on the left, it looks beautiful. But if we are not responsible with how we use the resources, it might turn more towards the right hand side of the picture, which is a little bit scary and concerning to think about. So let's to start off, right? What is deforestation? Basically, deforestation is when people start cutting down trees for multiple different reasons. As you can see that there's a cycle, and I've tried to present a visual for that down below and the overall impact up top. So, the topic is deforestation and how the overall impact of deforestation is going to be on conservation of natural resources for us. Generally speaking, deforestation is a constant threat to our environment because it increases the Earth's temperature. And as we know, that deforestation basically refers to the process of cutting down or burning down trees or forests at random or for different reasons that could happen. That I just talked about right here. So basically, yeah, as you can see from down below, there's only one tree standing. And because of multiple regions, people cut down trees, and that's what deforestation is. We explore the reasons in the next slide. So in the next slide, I'm talking about what are some of the potential causes that we can think of for deforestation, due to which we have to cut down trees. And as you can see in the visual, you can see that a lot of trees were there before, but some of them have been cut down. So you can take a moment and pause and think for yourself. But during my research, what I was able to find out is the primary number one reason for deforestation is, um, the population of the world is growing at an alarming and increasing rate. So because the rate is increasing, it means that additional population is going to require more land for habilitation or staying staying in a place, houses, and agricultural cultivation. So that's what I wanted to talk about here. To build houses, to build infrastructure, we need uh, more space for the additional population. And that's one of the reasons that is why we do deforestation. Also, on top of that, number two is not only just houses, we need more roads, bridges, hospitals. All of these structure construction does take time and effort to make, and forests are cut down because of this also. And last but not least, there are other many things that we do day to day that we don't even think about, which requires cutting down forests. For instance, cooking food for people that use forests for that, or making fires during winters, or in temperatures where um, it is very, very cold, especially in the northern states or Alaska in certain places. We also do this for melting pitches, and there are several industrial purposes due to which deforestation takes place. After this, I do want to talk about the overall negative impact, right? So this is what we do to deforest and for our basic necessities like making houses and furnitures and everything. But before we talk about the bad impact, I do want to say that humans are the ones who is only responsible for deforestation majority of the time. Animals don't go down and cut trees and stuff like that, right? So as a species, we are the one who is responsible for that, and we have to be a little bit more careful with the decisions that we make and do it properly. instead of doing it without proper calculations and taking into account how it overall impacts all of us. Um, so overall, before I talk about the bad impact, I just want to take a pause here and talk about the overall view. The 30,000-foot view is deforestation is clearing of trees and forest for many purposes, such as agriculture, urban development, mining, infrastructure, roads, hospitals, all of this combines. However, what I've learned during this process of my research and during the class is it is a major environmental issue that has significant impacts on plants and the species that live around here. So now let's move on to the bad impacts. So, number one that you can think of is causes an increase in the temperature of Earth, or, causes an increase in carbon dioxide around the Earth, basically from a high level. So what happens is whenever you're cutting down trees, we know that in the respiration system, we take oxygen in and we breathe CO2 out. But plants, on the other hand, during the process of photosynthesis, they take the carbon dioxide to breathe in, and they provide oxygen so we can live. So when we cut down trees and do deforestation, that balance gets disturbed, and due to the disturbance in the equilibrium, carbon dioxide levels rise. And because of that, indirectly, we cause global warming. And all of us know how scary that is. As you can see in the picture that I talked about right here, going from left to right, very beautiful. If not careful, we deplete the resources. Also, the other bad impacts are little points like soil erosion, water scarcity. And this one, the last bullet point, is something that you may not think of instantly, but I had to do some research for this one. There are indigenous communities who are traditional and who rely on forests for their food. And what happens is when we do deforest, on top of all of this, sometimes we also lose knowledge of traditional practices that have been around for a super long time. It also, what happens is, because I touched on global warming earlier, global warming is basically, as we all know, a process where the long-term heating of Earth's surface is observed, and due to human activities like primarily fossil fuel burning, something like whenever you do burn fossil fuels, it increases the heat trapping, and the greenhouse gas levels in the Earth's atmospheres are released. So it's basically the Earth's average surface temperature, which is caused by human activities, particularly like I talked about burning of fossil fuels, such as coal or oil or gas, and indirectly they release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So some gases that I know of that I found during my research was carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide. Some of them are those gases. They do trap heat from the sun, and overall, they warm the planet's surface area. So there are many negative impact of global warming. I will try my best to not get sidetracked into that, because this presentation is not about global warming. But yeah, I will link a site during my citations section where you can read more. There will be article references that I've done during my research. Also, not to forget, right? Forests play basically a crucial role in maintaining our balance of our ecosystem. They provide habitat for countless species of animals and plants. They help regulate plants' climate by absorbing carbon dioxide, right? They're a vital source of clean air and water. So whenever we deforest, we disrupt all of these processes, and that in turn contributes to the loss of biodiversity and extinction of species, which is something that we studied in this class as conversation, conservation of natural resources, something that I was very passionate about, extinction of species. But what I wanted to do is step back and look at some of the root causes like deforestation, which cause extinction of species. In one of the lectures during this semester, we learned the importance of extinction of species, and Professor Moody mentioned how that impacts like the food cycle and the food chain. So I did want to talk about deforestation and how that impacts it. Lots and lots of important topics to pick about. but I didn't want the presentation to be super long. But yeah, I did want to touch on how deforestation can also lead to extinction of species and overall have a significant climate change. All right, so the next slide is how do we remediate, right? How to address this? So number one item that I was able to find during my research is enforce laws and policies that protect forests. We have to be mindful of this. Currently, if you don't enforce laws and policies, people will come in, contractors will come in and they will cut in bulk of trees without any kind of regulation. And that will overall make sure that the process is not regulated. So laws and policies by the Congress and the state government should be enforced and, regularly checked to make sure that they're updated, and it has to be done. In agencies like EPA or the environmental protection agencies, they should enforce and police the protection of forests in specifically all over the US and especially in Raleigh, North Carolina and other parts of North Carolina. On top of this, the other thing that we could do to address the issue of deforestation is we must support sustainable land use practices. What I mean by that is basically something that we are not just doing practices that are not sustainable. We need to be able to sustain it for a long period of time. Not just like harvest something in one cycle and deplete the earth off of its nutrients and resources where it is unusable for many, many, many years to come. That is not a good practice. So other priority items that I was able to talk about is promote reforestation. Of course, this will help. It's just cycle of life. Reforestation, I believe, should be done at a similar or a higher rate than deforestation. If you do it at a higher rate, then yeah, and your planning is basically like economics, supply and demand. You want to make certain that you have more that you can use later on rather than not having enough and not planned properly. So reforestation is something that I'm super passionate about, something that I've learned during my research in this class for FW 221, Conservation of Natural Resources. And that is something that I'm personally very passionate about. I highly encourage all of you who are listening to this to take time either now or during summer and just plant some trees wherever you can in your neighborhood or wherever you can to help Mother Nature and the planet Earth because that is absolutely necessary. And on top of that, the other bullet that I've highlighted is restoration efforts. So we have to do restoration efforts wherever we can to overall do good work. So to sum this up, to address deforestation, we need to take action at both local, state, federal, and global levels. Government and international organizations can work together to enforce laws and policies that protect forests and support sustainable land use practices, promotes reforestation and restoration efforts. Now, this is all policy and everything. What can we do as an individual level? So what I would say is individually, each of us can consume responsibly. We can recycle properly and support sustainable agriculture. Just to go into a little bit more details about that is whatever we are consuming, we have to be responsible about that. Recycling is a big piece of that also. Whenever we recycle properly, we also help the environment, and we must support sustainable agriculture in order to address the issue of deforestation. And by working together, all of us, this is going to be a group effort. Every single one of us is going to have to do our part. And by working together as a team, we can all help protect our planet's forests, and we can ensure a sustainable future for many, many, many generations to come, which are going to be our generations. So we must be mindful about deforestation. Here are the citations and the links for images and credits and article references that I've talked about. Please go through this. I will pause if somebody wants to take a look at that. I've put in like an extensive list. So, excuse me, extensive list. This was the first one. This is the second one. And this is the third one. Thank you so much for taking the time to view my presentation today. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day.